What's happening, guys, and welcome back to another Sunday Scan. Coming at you from Las Vegas at Traders for a Cause. We're going to do a short scan this week. I'll catch you up on what's been going on here. We'll run through a couple charts, and then I'll run through my main watches for the week, and then you'll have some other moderator watch lists posted in IU. But the main focus, at least for me, was to kind of take it easy towards the end of the week leading into this weekend. I really wanted to enjoy my time and not focus so much on, was this trade going great or was it, not going great? And I think that that's an important skill or an important thing to be able to prioritize of when things outside of trading, dictate your activity. And I'm not going to push the envelope or put on more risk than I'm comfortable with when I have something that's important to me coming up. So I took it easy into the end of the week, and then I'll be back trading on Monday, and we'll be able to hit the week strong. So lots of things were moving. But yeah, this weekend has just been fantastic. I've been able to meet a lot of people from within Investors Underground, and a lot of people who are not with Investors Underground but still attended the conference. And there's just been a great amount of speakers who are really taking things that they spent a lot of time on, a lot of years developing, and they share it with people, and they're donating their time, and they want to help people. So these are people that are worth listening to, and for the people who attended Traders for a Cause, it's just a real blessing to be able to see those people and share their passion and help the community. So it's been great, and I've been having a fantastic time here. So let's get right into it. I'll do a couple of chart reviews, starting with Tesla. So Tesla had its big robotaxi day or event that was highly anticipated last week. Shares were down on it, and I think part of the reason is you kind of have these two aspects of these big investor days or these events, and it's a common theme throughout different companies. And one aspect to it is like the showmanship, and it's like it's a cool event. You're unveiling new products, you're doing all these cool things, and then you have like the business aspect of it, of like, okay, this is great that you're doing this, but when is this going to happen? What's this going to look like? How is this going to affect margins? So you have like those two things where you might have like the short-term traders focused on, how did the event go? What are the new products? How much hype can kind of get built into this? And then on the other side, where you have maybe institutions or other things, they're trying to figure out, what does this actually mean for the business? And so this was an event where you had a lot of showmanship, but not a lot of details. It doesn't mean that's bad details, but they just didn't have a lot of details. And that can be taken as a sign that things might take a little bit longer, or it's not exactly clear how it'll affect the business. And so in situations like that, it's pretty common to see the hype or the excitement that was built up into this event, hopefully going really well, just kind of coming back to a more neutral place. And Tesla's really been pretty range bound. Granted, a large range, but it's been pretty range bound for the last 6 months or so, slowly working its way up, higher lows, but just kind of consolidating around here and not really been able to get its footing until some of these events and other things start to go a little bit better. And then on that news, you had Uber start to do really well. So if you have, on one hand, Tesla with the robotaxi stuff, if that's not exactly clear on the timeline and the full self-driving and all that, then Uber is considered, they're in a good competitive position, at least for the next couple of years. And so sometimes that can get re-evaluated up. And I think they also had some price target increases and some upgrades. So that was part of the reason why Uber was moving. But you can definitely see an inverse correlation between Tesla and Uber, at least over the last month or a couple of months. The next one, we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago, VST. This is one of those like clean energy for the AI space themes, and it was this one and CEG. We're both on a tear. Kind of big sector move, and then we were waiting for that point where it really had that nice blow off and that correction. And it doesn't necessarily mean that the sector's done or anything like that. Sector's correct, stock's correct. It's very natural price action. So now we'll kind of see going into next week whether or not this was just kind of a flush back, retest, consolidate, and move higher for the next leg up, or if this is like, okay, got a little bit overextended and now it's kind of on the backside and maybe the hype dies down. So that was a big mover over the last week. NVIDIA, they had their AI summit, and they unveiled some cool stuff on the software side. So just a lot of bullish call activity going on into that event, and now I think we might consolidate for a few days, but very, very nice and clean run, 15, 20 points leading up there. And if someone were playing this with calls or even on the equity side, you could see that these just, major points where you have multiple things associated with a move. So like when I'm looking for something to trend or something to make a clean and good move, I'm looking at, how tight is that trend? Is this like huge volatility along the way, or is this pretty tight? And if it's tight, it's usually a sign that there's good demand because there's not a whole lot of lag or slack in the demand. So when something flushes, what happens? Does it come right back up? And that's kind of like that tight, range as it's moving higher. Or is it like very spread out and like it flushes down, it kind of consolidates, it goes up, it's weak. That's like a very like loose trend. So you had a nice tight trend here. So that's one of the things. And then also look for, trend lines to really hold those higher lows along the way. And then I look for things like bullish call activity or other things that are associated, not necessarily just driving the stock higher, but associated with the stock going higher. And I just want to see all those things kind of going in the same direction. And that can be a clear sign that a nice trend is taking place. And so those are the main ones that I just wanted to touch on. And now I'll get into the main watches. It's just me this week. Again, it's going to be a quick and short scan. But I want to give the disclaimer that I am not a financial advisor and these are not buy or sell recommendations. This is for informational and educational purposes only. Now let's jump to the main watches. Okay, first up we have PDD. Obviously, the China sector has been one of the most in-play sectors of the last month or so. They had their stimulus announcement, and then they basically did a follow-up press conference, and they said, well, the pace of that stimulus might be a little bit more steady rather than all at once, and now they're doing some more commentary on that. So we'll see how the market reacts on Monday. And in these markets where you have very poor fundamentals and most of the companies, and even beyond that in like the local governments and the economy in general, when things like that, like when that's the backdrop, the fundamental backdrop, and you have stimulus happening, you have to basically get a feel for how the market is interpreting that stimulus. And so what I mean by that is that if stimulus is really the only thing going for China at the moment and these companies, then that is the key driving variable. And so then the question becomes of what does the market expect the stimulus to be? And is it happy with that or is it not happy with that? And if China says, we're going to basically stall out the stimulus and there's no fundamentals there or very, poor fundamentals, then the market's usually going to kind of revalue things back down because if the main driving variable, the stimulus, is now paused or it's not as much as the market thought, then that's the main variable. And as that stalls, that's what you can pay attention to keep the sector on track. But on the flip side, if China says, we're going to roll out this stimulus and we're going to incrementally increase it and keep adding to it, and that moves the sector on every one of those press releases, then that's again the key driving variable. But when you have basically just one thing going for a sector, then that is the main thing to watch, as opposed to trying to catch every blip on this. It's just paying attention to the commentary and the press releases and how the market reacts to that can tell you a lot about the sector move. And then looking for relative strength and relative weakness. So for instance, if PDD has some relative strength, maybe it kind of gap filled this, a nice correction, and then possibly a kind of like a cup and handle, and then it starts to ramp back up if it starts to retest these highs and base above them. Or if it just maybe swipes up and we get a failed follow through and it starts to downtrend. We don't know yet, so I'm going to be watching PDD and the rest of the China sector this upcoming week to see how it's reacting to stimulus. Next we have DJT. So part of the reason why the stock moves, it moves on headlines, and I think it's very closely correlated with some of Trump's odds of getting into office. And so as some odds have been increasing a little bit, then the stock tends to trend with that, and then something else happens, it reverses. So we've really been in this this nice, pretty tight consolidation range. You can see what I was talking about earlier with NVIDIA, where you don't have these, big run-ups and big drops. You mostly just have kind of like a run-up consolidation, run-up consolidation, run-up consolidation. And that's a sign that, the demand, or whether it's, shorts getting squeezed a little bit, or whether it's call sellers getting blown out, there's tension in the tape. And so you can see that as long as it's kind of holding those higher lows and it's starting to, keep chugging up, then that's something that, is a good sign that a strong trend is in place. And then you just have to really wait for that trend to look different. And so what I mean by that is, let's say we start to, flush down and correct, and it starts to struggle a little bit. That looks different than the rest of the trend. So when you have these moves, they can last for a couple of weeks or maybe a month or, however long. But then when they start acting different, that's when you can really focus in on for a mean reversion trade. But until then, all these bases that kind of just consolidate, you can assume that the trend will likely keep on going until it starts to act different than it has. So that can be on watch for calls or puts for me this upcoming week. But I think that DJT will have a lot of range, and then especially leading into the election, this should be a main watch for myself. And then the next one is MSTR. So again, I think with some of the political stuff, I think that some regulatory favorability with Trump's odds going up can sometimes boost the crypto sector. And so whether that or not that's true, we have no idea, but that's kind of the perception. And MSTR is really just an example of relative strength within that sector. So whenever a sector is moving, whether it's China, crypto, anything, look for the things that are really just itching to go up, itching to go higher, and they're looking for any excuse to go higher. And you compare that with something like maybe coin or something else where it's choppy, it's not trending well, but MSTR is definitely an example of relative strength. So again, we're seeing that kind of leg up, consolidation, and now we're in our next leg up. So as long as crypto is trending higher for whatever the reasons that it is, maybe it's due to political stuff, maybe it's due to something else, maybe it's due to economic data, then Bitcoin is the ship, and that's kind of dragging the anchor, the stocks behind it, and MSTR is the best of those stocks as far as price action is concerned. And then finally, JP Morgan, we're having earnings season kind of jump back in. A lot more companies are reporting earnings over the next couple of weeks and months, and the financials were definitely one to kind of kick things off. So JP Morgan had a good reaction to earnings, and a lot of the other companies like WFC had a similar reaction. So the financial sector is very important to things like SPY and SPX. It's XLF is the kind of the ETF of the financials, and that's a big component or big part of SPY and SPX. So this is on watch, and I think that if the financial sector is performing strongly, I'm going to be watching things like JPM, Goldman Sachs, GS, BAC, WFC, C, and all of these other financial companies to see if they're having similar earnings reactions. And then if that's the case, there's a good chance that it could take SPY a bit higher with it. So the last name that I had watched was AFRM. This had some bullish option flow. It had a nice, kind of breakout, and on a longer time frame, it was, kind of breaking out of a big consolidation. So I think we'll likely test over that 50 area unless we kind of stuff here, but I think that we're going to start to base over 50. And as long as some of those variables are in play, I think that we could have a move higher. So just a couple of names on watch for me. Again, I'm going to see what's happening with the Chinese sector on Monday when we kind of see how the market is reacting to that. But yeah, just having a great time at Traders for a Cause, and I still have a little bit of time here, so I'm going to make the most of it, and then I'll be back in the room trading with you all on Monday. So I hope that everyone has a great rest of your week, great rest of your weekend, and best of luck in the markets. Thank you everyone for watching. If you want to trade live alongside me and other members of the Investors Underground community, then check out investorsunderground.com to see if becoming a member is the right decision for you. They have some of the best technology and a lot of great members there, all looking to help other people improve their trading. And also check out Investors Underground content on YouTube and Twitter. Thank you.